looking for pleasure in all areas of your life.
Right.
Physically, emotionally, spiritually, and sexually. So looking for what we call the 10 spot.
Hi everyone, welcome to Go All In Show. I'm Stant, and today I would like to welcome our special guest here, Sequieta Whitfield, in the house. Thank you so much for being here, my friend.
Thank you for having me. It's my honor. Thank you.
Wonderful. Well, we have a lot to talk, especially this topic is not many people talk about. That's why I'm interested to talk about it.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about Simply-Tantra. I look at your website. I just want our audience to understand what you do and introduce us to what you do a little bit.
Thank you so much. Simply-Tantra is the answer to your question when you want to know more about Tantra, when you want to know more about trauma-informed healing, using pleasure as medicine.
Okay, explain to me some more. Using pleasure as a medicine.
Yeah.
And what is that?
Yeah. Well, because we're trauma-informed, there are several of us that use this modality. And so trauma is stored in the body. Okay. And generally in the sex chakra or in the pelvic girdle area.
Okay.
And most trauma, it doesn't have to be sexual. It can be an accident. It can be loud noise, loud sounds, a look. People are traumatized by a plethora of things. The way they're raised, and so we store that in the body. Yeah. And consequently, a lot of people have sexual dysfunction as a result of that, without knowing, usually. And so pleasure as medicine means that we use touch, breath, and awareness. Yeah. And so when we are teaching our clients to learn their anatomy, their sexual anatomy, a lot of people do not know that about themselves, what where their clitoris is, or how their clitoris is, arousal process. And a lot of men do not understand their penis. They just think of it as a tool, but there's a lot of trauma that gets stored in the genitalia for men as well, because men have also had accidents and sexual trauma and assaults and various other ways. And so it's not just a feminine occurrence. So teaching people how to touch themselves, cultivating what we call self-pleasure, which is another word for masturbation.
Yeah.
And they do that on themselves. There's not a hands-on practice. And so
I'll keep going a little bit, but yeah.
No. So I teach my clients how to do this through, just a gentle process of touching themselves, breathing into that area, and becoming aware of any sensations. The most common sexual dysfunction with all genders is lack of awareness, lack of sensation, and lack of education.
Okay, well, tell us a little bit about your backstory. Where were you? What made you interested about this topic and get to teach people about this?
Yes, good question. I have a background in law enforcement. So I retired. So I retired from a career as a deputy sheriff in Sacramento County, and followed by another career as a substance abuse counselor, which I love dearly. And then once I let go of that career, I was in my late 50s.
Yeah.
And I had started to understand and notice about my body, especially because I was menopausal.
Yeah.
And so I started to do a lot of research about how to heal some things around menopause and that kind of a thing. And I also noticed that I was not as sexually active and aware anymore. And I just started to reach out and got in touch with some somatic body workers who do somatic biological work, where they actually go into the body and release trauma and that kind of a thing. And that's when I started to learn about Tantra. And Tantra I knew nothing about Tantra. I thought Tantra was all about sex, or, it's an orgy, or, but it's not. Tantra is a yogic spiritual principle.
Okay.
So we're focusing on the spiritual aspect of yoga.
Okay.
And so when I found my mentor, Davy Ward Erickson, she introduced me to Authentic Tantra, which is a lineage-based practice. We're based in a oral tradition of Tantra passed down over centuries of about 2,700 years or more. And we're based in the Shangpa Kagyu lineage. And so it's Tibetan Buddha based. Right. And you don't have to be Buddhist to practice Tantra. So my mind was blown. It was like, this is what I've been looking for.
Really?
Yeah. This is what I've been looking for. This was a place that I could become fully sexually expressed, unapologetically, letting go of shame and guilt and, years of conditioning that sex is not okay. Good girls don't, bad girls do. That kind of mentality. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So coming back to the word Tantra.
Yes.
Can you explain a simple way that our audience, they don't know even like about spirituality, about healing, but what exactly it is and how can we apply that technique or whatever you call it into our daily life?
Oh, excellent question. Thank you so much. The basics about, I'll say this as easily as I can, is looking for pleasure in all areas of your life.
Right.
Physically, emotionally, spiritually, and sexually. So looking for what we call the 10 spot. Okay. So I notice you're stretching.
I'm stretching my.
Yes. Because in doing that, you derive some kind of comfort, some pleasure out of that.
Well, I went to the workout at 6:00 in the morning, and I'm just like, man, I'm so sore. So I'm stretching.
So that's a perfect tantric movement.
Okay.
Is to look for that 10. If you're on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being phenomenally the best, and 1 just being and you're uncomfortable, you're like, what would give me a 10? For you, it was stretching. See, you were probably at, I don't know, give me a number before you stretched.
Me giving you the number before I stretched? Yeah. I was 5.
And where are you now that you're stretching?
I'm about 8.
Yeah, see? So that is like Tantra in a nutshell. Okay, you want to be on that pleasure scale.
Okay.
So you're it's a rainy afternoon and you're cuddled up with the book and you're going, well, give me a 10, cup of tea.
Okay.
So that's the non-sexual healing.
Right.
So then the sexual healing you ask about is you're in union, you're making love, you're having sex with someone, and you're uncomfortable in a position. And you're at about a 6. What would give you a 10? Oh, a pillow under my left knee.
Okay. Oh, all right. Okay.
Or changing position, that would give me a 10. Or even going a little deeper, you're close to an orgasm and you're about at an 8. What would give me a 10? Oh, if my partner would just stroke me a little bit differently, or I'd like it a little slower. And see and that gets you to a 10. So that's the sexual healing part. Another component of the sexual healing is when something happens, and I'm going to use sex as an example.
Sure.
Because again, we're talking about trauma-informed modality. And we want to heal people. We want people to open up to their own sexuality, their own spirituality, unapologetically. And so you're in union, maybe it's before you've even had penetrative sex. And we're going to talk about male, female in this situation, okay? It goes across all genders. I don't want to exclude. But for this scenario, you're male, female, and something gets triggered. And so let's use the female because usually that's generally where it's going to show up. and she pulls back, or she might start to cry. And we are conditioned to shut it down. She's crying, oh, it's all over, we got to go, it's done, it's a done deal. And what happens, though, is that the trauma does not get released. It's just been identified. It's been recognized that, oh, something's happened. I'm having a memory. I'm being triggered. I'm crying. I don't know what to do. So we just shut it down.
Yeah.
In the authentic Tantra, through touch, awareness, and breath, we stay in the moment. Your partner becomes compassionate and empathetic, asking, what can I do for you? Do you need to be held? Do you need to scream? Do you want to voice it? Do you want to name it? Is it a person, place, or thing? Okay. So now we've become aware. That's the awareness part. And the touch is either, I just need you to hold me, or to hold my hand, or just, be here with me quietly, or leave the room, but you're asking. Your partner's not taking it personal, because a lot of times your partner goes, oh, I broke it.
Yeah, it's my fault.
That's my fault.
I was wrong.
Yeah. But, and so we teach, and then so that in the breath is that you just breathe into it using ocean breath. And you breathe into that area until the nervous signal, by taking deep breaths like that, ocean breath, it signals the vagus nerve that you're safe. The vagus nerve is that nerve that runs from the back of the spine all the way down into the perineum at the bottom of the cervix, if not lower. And it just tells us fight, flight, or freeze, right?
Yeah.
And so when we take that deep breath, it resonates, it vibrates that vagus nerve, and lets the body know you're safe. And we just settle into that until the moment passes. The moment passes, the crying is stopped, she feels safe, he feels like he supported her. Then you can either choose to re-engage, or just let it be and wait for another day. And that's the healing part. Because the next time it gets less and less and less. You're not as triggered as much. You're not triggered by the same thing. Both partners feel loved. It's a 10 on the scale. It's a win-win. And we move through it rather than keeping it trapped in the body and waiting for the next time it erupts, and we don't know when that's going to happen. That's sexual healing.
So when someone, first of all, how can our audience reach out to you if they want to learn more about this technique of healing? And second is, how do you teach them with the online, how do you help? Let's go with how our audience find you first.
You can find me at Simply-Tantra, simply-tantra.com.
Okay.
Simply-Tantra on IG, Instagram, and Facebook.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah.
If they want to work with you, how do you teach them? Is it through, do you have the courses that they can go through by themselves, or is it more like a guided, or what is it?
I offer specific programs for all genders, and especially couples. And we can do it either online through Zoom or in person if they're local.
Okay.
Because now that we're opened up, I can go back to local, opening up. I'm so happy. So that's how they can get a hold of me. And the sessions are usually about an hour and a half for about 8 weeks, for 8 sessions.
What do you do during that session?
Well, we always do meditation with the Tibetan 5-element meditation, the healing meditations that we've been sanctioned, we've been given permission to use. And then they'll do their own cultivating self-pleasuring sessions that I teach them specific moves to use, specific strokes to use, and they'll learn a specific breath technique that I showed you, the ocean breath. They'll learn how to use that.
So when you teach them on Zoom and guide them, and they do it right there, or what happens?
That's an awesome question. Thank you so much. That is so good. They do not do it then. I have models, I have anatomically correct models that I demonstrate all the movements on, all the techniques on. And then they go back to their own space and do their home, we call it home play. Instead of homework, they do their home play.
They have their homework
Yes.
and then they come back
Yes.
next time
Yes.
and report or ask you the question.
Absolutely, absolutely. And there's journaling. There's I'm always available through email, text if they have any questions that come up in between sessions. And I also hold workshops, so I can do group trainings periodically.
So let our audience know, like, when do you hold your next workshop or any masterclass or anything, so that we can share with our audience.
Thank you. Well, under the events on my website, on the calendar, there will be the next workshops available. My next workshop will not be until August, because I'm going to be traveling quite a bit during July. So August, I will be having a couples workshop. Actually, let me back up. I will have a couples workshop in Sacramento, July. Oh. Yes, July 25th. I'll be in town, so I'll be doing a couples workshop there. And then another one here locally in August.
Awesome.
So it'll be on the website under events, also on the Facebook.
Wow.
So, and also you can follow me on Eventbrite under Sequieta Whitfield.
Awesome, Sequieta. Yeah. Thank you so much for being here and share with us, more interesting information that I never learned about it before, never heard about it. But you know what? It's important. It's important. There are always going to be ways of healing and learning about how to heal our body and our relationship. Thank you so much for all your work.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.